Manifest Destiny is a belief tied to Christian origins in America. It states that we are predestined by God to settle land out to the Pacific Ocean. We have a divine right to claim Mexican and Indian lands.
The belief in Manifest Destiny caused a mass migration west. Americans migrated west for several reasons. The first was an abundance of land. This was the first step to prosperity and wealth, as to own a home and to have a farm was a source of livelihood. The second was economic mobility. Bad economic recessions and debt back east meant that Americans could move west and start over at a new chance for prosperity. The last is social freedoms, particularly religious freedom. Different religious groups and minorities fled persecution for a new start and new liberties in the open western frontier.
The first reason Americans moved west was for land. In 1803, Thomas Jefferson acquired the Louisiana Territory from France. Interesting fact, Thomas Jefferson purchased the Louisiana Territory for $15 million, which equates to only 4 cents an acre. With such an expansive new territory, Jefferson decided to recruit Lewis and Clark to explore this vast new territory. With the Louisiana Purchase, the West was wide open. There were many prospects for a new start, freedom, and wealth.
With this map provided, you can clearly see the size of the Louisiana Purchase. It traveled from the Mississippi River in the east to the eastern part of the Rocky Mountains in the west. It doubled the size of the United States as it had existed in 1783 at the end of the Revolutionary War. Today, the Louisiana Purchase accounts for 1/3 of the total continental United States. With the massive amount of territory open and free to settlement, Americans traveled west in covered wagons to find their new homes and their new farms. Some of the most famous trails include the Oregon Trail, the Santa Fe Trail, and the California Trail. On this map, you can clearly see the trails labeled. The Santa Fe Trail, which began in Independence, Missouri and traveled south. The Oregon Trail, which also began in Independence, Missouri and went all the way to Oregon City and the Pacific Ocean. And the California Trail, which cut south to Sutter's Fort.
In the 1840s, the United States acquired even more land during the Texas Revolution. The Texas Territory was owned by Mexico. They were having trouble settling eastern Texas, the territory highlighted in yellow. Due to the struggle, Mexico opens the Texas Territory to Americans to help settle the land.
When the American settlers poured across the Mexican border, they brought their slaves with them. The Mexican government was outraged, as they had outlawed slavery some time earlier. In retaliation, they quickly closed their borders to prevent further American settlement. But by then, it was too late.
Americans continued to pour into Texas, and they soon outnumbered Mexicans in the Texas Territory. Americans in Texas, calling themselves the Lone Star Republic, declared their independence and applied for statehood to the United States.
The United States Congress approved the application, and Texas became a state. When the Mexican army moved to militarily force the Texans from their land, the United States declared war on Mexico. The Mexican-American War was fought partly to protect the Texans from the Mexican military, but also partly fought to claim new territory in the West. After 2 years of fighting, America easily defeats Mexico and assumes a new dominant role in North America. 2 generals, Zachary Taylor and Winfield Scott, become heroes of the war. Zachary Taylor becomes so popular, he will later be elected President of the United States. With the American victory, they received the spoils of war. It would become known as the Mexican Cession. The Mexican Cessions include lands that currently make up the states of California, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, and Utah.
Following the American Revolution in 1783, you can clearly see on this map the territorial expansion of the United States from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Pacific Ocean. In a matter of 65 years, the United States expanded from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi River, to the Rocky Mountains, and then all the way to the Pacific Ocean.
The next reason why Americans migrated west was economic opportunity. American farmers and merchants traveled west to take advantage of the abundant land and new markets where they could sell their goods. Even greater opportunities became available with the birth of the state of California. American John C. Fremont led an expedition to the Mexican-controlled territory of California. Through force, Fremont and his followers staged an armed rebellion against the Mexican government. Soon after this rebellion began, Fremont declared that California was an independent state, naming it the Bear Flag Republic, in honor of the flag that he had designed. The original Bear flag can be seen on the left, as compared to the current California flag seen on the right, which is simply a modern adaptation of Fremont's original flag. That's a fun fact.
In 1848, California was admitted as a state to the United States. Gold was soon discovered in California, and the gold rush was on. Thousands of settlers migrated west towards California with hopes of gaining riches as gold miners. California is now known as the Golden State. The last reason Americans moved west was for religious freedom. Methodist missionaries moved along the Oregon Trail towards Oregon City. These Methodist missionaries moved along the Oregon Trail to the Pacific Ocean in order to convert as many Native Americans to Christianity as possible.
Another group who traveled west along the Oregon Trail in hopes of finding religious freedom were the Mormons. Members of the Mormon faith faced vicious persecution in the East for their beliefs. Fleeing this persecution, the Mormon people traveled west along the Mormon Trail. They followed their founder, Joseph Smith, to Illinois, where Smith was murdered by a mob. Their new leader, Brigham Young, led them west along the Mormon Trail to the Great Salt Lake. The Mormons settled the area known as Deseret in modern-day Utah. They see Deseret as a God-given land and a religious safe haven where they can worship their religion free from persecution.
Manifest Destiny helped to expand American territory to how we know it today. It expanded American society, culture, and government by spreading Americans from coast to coast. It increased the government's power with its role in expanding territory. Settlements out west spread religion and created new markets, reinforcing American self-determination and helping to create the American spirit.